You've heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist the evil person. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if somebody wants to sue you for your shirt, give them your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Obviously, there is some hyperbole going on here. Obviously, Jesus does not want us to let other people just downright abuse us. But there are times when we should not demand our rights. The message is, two wrongs don't make a right. Repaying evil with evil only strengthens the kingdom of evil and doesn't help the kingdom of God. Jesus is saying, do unto others things that will show them Jesus. Do to them things that will show them that your faith is real. In the law was the concept of restitution. It wasn't enough just to go to the altar and confess your sin. One had to make restitution for the things that they had done wrong. And this is what was being taught in the passages that Jesus is talking about. In these passages, it was saying that restitution had to be made, but only in the amount that had been sinned against. You couldn't take more restitution than you were entitled to. This was the sin. This is all you could have in restitution. Taking more was not authorized, not permissible. And the Pharisees had gotten hold of this law, and they had taken it to the extremes once again. And they had forgotten the concept of justice and mercy. The point Jesus is trying to make is that the real mark of love, the real mark of Christianity, is doing good to people we don't even like, people we don't really care for, people who may not have treated us well. Luke adds to this commentary. He says, Jesus said, if you love those that love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is it to you? Even sinners do that. So he's saying the mark of a real Christian is going to be something different than they see being demonstrated by the world. The world will take care of people who take care of them. But we're supposed to come along and take care of people that we may not like. Perhaps a moot point. Many Christians spend their time around Christians. They don't spend their time around people who might do things wrong against them. They don't spend their time with people who are different from them. Their world is filled with church activities and hanging out with other Christians. Minimal connection with the people in the world around them. Sometimes because they're too removed from the world. It used to be talked about they're so holy, they're no earthly good. And I'm not sure that that's exactly true anymore, but it's also true that sometimes they're just too judgmental. And the people of the world don't make a connection with them because all they see is religion. They don't see Jesus. It's human nature to hang out with people like us, people we like. But Jesus is calling us to interact with people who aren't like us, people we may not like. He wants us to interact when things may be messy, not so nice and clean. Jesus wants to take us out of our comfort zones. Some Christians have a fear of hanging out with sinners. They use the defense that, well, if somebody sees me hanging out with sinners, they might think I'm a sinner. And that would mean that I'm some sort of hypocrite because of the things I've been teaching. Perhaps they feel that hanging out with sinners, their sin, the sin of the sinners might rub off onto them. If that's the case, it is a sure sign of immaturity as a Christian. Jesus spent a lot of time hanging out with sinners, and the religious people got on his case for doing that. But Jesus knew that many of the people that he was eating with, that he was spending time with, were never going to go to the synagogue. And in fact, when Jesus went and preached in the synagogue, they tried to take him out and kill him. So, rather hang out with the sinners than people who were trying to kill me. Jesus knew that if he was going to reach these people, it wouldn't be in the synagogue. He'd have to go out to where they were, hang out with them where they were. The story of Methodism is about taking the gospel to where the people were. The open-air preaching in London and in England during the revival. The preaching in the mines during the Welsh revival. The tent meetings of the great frontier revivals. But more importantly, it was about showing love and acts of kindness. But many Christians don't seem to have a desire to do that nowadays. They've been saved and they're on their way to heaven. And that's about all their religion is worth. They thrive on potlucks, praise band, and attractive preaching. All the while, Jesus says, go into all the world, and the message goes unheeded. Make disciples, and the message goes unheeded. They wonder why the world is going downhill in a handbasket. They may even pray for revival and wonder why it never comes. And Jesus says, when you've done it not to the least of these, you've done it not to me. Once again, our takeaway is simply, they will know we are Christians. They will see Jesus by our love.